My name is Keith Whalen. I'm principal at Cashflow Navigator, and the topic I'd like to present is financial independence and how one simple rule can help you get there to financial independence and get you there years sooner. So we start with the problem, and the problem is in personal finance and managing our finances. It's information overload. There are just so many pieces, scattered pieces of financial information that we need to manage, and we don't know how to put it all together. And that becomes the challenge. How do we put all of the pieces of the puzzle together? Well, I like to start with the goal. And the goal, I believe, is financial independence. And financial independence would be having enough monthly income, monthly cash flow from sources other than your salary to be able to cover your monthly expenses. So you don't have to rely on salary income to cover your expenses. That would be financial independence. So that's where we're headed. So what are the drivers of what determines financial independence? Well, there's really two drivers. One is wealth, and the other is, and this isn't as common to discuss as wealth, but cash flow is the other missing ingredient. So that allows us now to at least group together some of the pieces of the puzzle. On the wealth side, we've got, essentially that's your net worth, so that's your assets and your liabilities. And on the cash flow side, that includes your monthly income and your monthly expenses. So we're making some progress at organizing the pieces here, but we can take it one step further, and we could boil down the wealth cash flow connection into one simple rule, actually. And that rule allows you to, for every financial expenditure decision you're considering, it allows you to place that financial expenditure into one of three categories. And that would be worst, second best, or best. And essentially what you're doing is you're taking into account what are the wealth impacts of that financial expenditure and what are the cash flow impacts. So worst financial expenditures would be your multiple daily living expenses. Also a car, for example, would be an example of worst because it's something that depreciates, it doesn't grow in value, and it generates negative cash flow. So two negatives, that's the worst. An example of a second best would be a primary residence, a house, buying a house, because that does appreciate, the real estate does appreciate, but it's a cash flow killer. And that is a consideration that a lot of folks don't really take into account as much as the appreciation. And that's why it's only second best, whereas a best would be rental income, for example. That would be a rental property which appreciates, the real estate appreciates, and it also can generate positive cash flow. So those are some examples, but again, every financial expenditure would fall into one of those three categories. And it helps you prioritize and guide your financial decisions by knowing this. So with that in mind, we've identified the goal, financial independence, identified the two drivers, and boiled that down into a simple rule. Now we can apply that rule to take action and to make decisions that will move us more quickly through the different stages of the financial life cycle. And the final stage of the financial life cycle is financial independence, which is defined by cash flow, monthly income. A little bit about myself, briefly. I'm principal of Cashflow Navigator, which is a web-based financial literacy platform that includes patented software to help you measure and manage your finances, your wealth, and your cash flow. And also content that also includes a book manuscript at this point that is completed, and I hope to have it published by the end of this year. The manuscript has already received endorsements from people like Barbara Corcoran at Shark Tank and Brian Tracy. Cashflow Navigator has received the Financial Literacy Program of the Year award by the Institute of Financial Literacy. And I've also been a contributor to the Wisebread Personal Finance blog. So that's a little bit about myself. So finally, why would this be helpful to my fellow professionals? Well, by putting all of the pieces together of this puzzle, this financial literacy puzzle, it helps us see the big picture and helps us understand the big picture. And that means we won't be as overwhelmed by this process of managing our finances. It helps us simplify the process as well, because there's just one rule that guides and prioritizes our financial decisions. And it helps us take action because we can apply that rule to move more quickly through the different stages of the financial life cycle, knowing that that final stage is where we're headed, the goal, financial independence. So the bottom line is that by understanding the wealth cash flow connection, it will allow us to more fully understand our finances. It will allow us to know where we are, at what stage, and where we're headed. And for every financial decision that we make, we'll know whether it's good or bad, and we'll know why. And that allows us to take control, and it allows us to get ahead. So that would be the topic I'd like to present at the seminar, and I appreciate the opportunity to offer that to you. Thank you.